Hey, I'm Brianna the Stinky Frog, and this is my devlog for the month of March for the game I'm working on called Bittersweet Music. So, originally, we're gonna get rid of the map bounds. So, I had a lot change. So, even though I was planning on making a lot of progress during this month because it was set up to do so, one, towards the middle of the month, after I was kind of on a roll, I was getting really consistent, like working on even just a little bit at a time every day. Um, Everything got halted because we had a tornado come by. Basically, we had a thunderstorm come in, and then a tornado was like, "Hey, I'm gonna show up too." And luckily, no human was hurt. However, we lost our pride and joy. Um, the wrench man fell. His legs were severely injured in the tornado. Some houses were messed up too, but surprisingly, I don't even think anyone was injured. Like, so it was actually really nice. Some houses definitely got messed up. Some trees are down, and our house wasn't near where the tornado hit down. However, we lost internet for about a week, and no one's 5G was working. That kind of stunted my progress a little bit, and I was like, "Ooh, now I kinda gotta get, like, jump back on the make progress bandwagon." But before that happened, I had made some decent amount of progress. Let me turn this phone canvas back on. I'm trying to go backwards and remember exactly what all I had done because I did a lot of stuff. You see here, ignore the porch zoom camera, but there was this. The main camera used to be front porch camera, and shed camera is just for the shed. Pretend that's a shed. Pretend it's a shed. Pretend this is just trees and such, and this is the house. Yeah, prototype. It's ugly. Don't judge. But anyway, so I had a different shed camera over here that would stay off. And when you walked across the screen, it would trigger these different areas over here. And it was a lot. Like this would zoom in and this would zoom in and they all had like their own I left the code on there. But this would zoom into the front porch when you got over here and it would have some problems happening and you'd walk across the porch and it'd be zoomed in. It doesn't work right now because I have not put it into the cinemachine camera. Oh, excuse me. And then the shed camera, when you got closer to the imaginary shed where I'm going to put it, it would zoom in a little closer so that way the player could see a little bit more detail. But I was like, this is going to take forever because I'm going to have to do it over here and I'm going to have to do it again over here. And then it's going to happen in lots of other places. And this is just the outside during the day. I plan on having at least one or two scenes happen in the game that are at night, which I will probably be able to just do with shaders if I can figure out how those work. But I still have to like have all this set up even for the outside, and it was gonna be like I think 4 or 5. I think it was gonna be 5 cameras, maybe 6, set up outside, and then not to mention all of the separate cameras I was gonna plan on doing inside of the house, plus inside of the shed. I was like, this is gonna take forever. So then I set up some colliders, some areas, ignore those. Oh yeah, this was another thing. I had put each of these in their own little collider. So like all of these world colliders are not how you're supposed to do things. You can kind of see like down where everything was. The colliders were here, went down and went down, and there was a house here, there was something here, and there was stuff over here. So it was I can get rid of all of that now, but that was how the game was set up. And it was a disaster. Not that it didn't work, it was just I was going to have to do that all of the time. I was going to have to constantly implement different ways to do the cameras. The shed camera had its own script. The front porch camera had its own script, and I was going to have to do that for several of them. But instead, I was like, ooh. I was not actually planning on changing it, but when I found a tutorial when I was trying to figure out how to do a better save system than just player prefs, I found a YouTube channel called Game Code Library, and they have an awesome tutorial series right now that they're coming out with like pretty consistently. But I found their save system and I was following along. It was awesome, except they had used their cinemachine camera. And I've never actually used a cinemachine camera until now. I was like, you know what? There's a first for everything. Let's try it. It's probably going to suck because I'm going to have to stop and go backwards in a lot of my code. But I'm kind of glad I did because now I'm going to get to take away a lot of extra code that I wouldn't need. I completely forgot about the world colliders, honestly. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete those. But there were a lot of things I was like, oh, I can make this so much easier. I do still have to figure out how to zoom in the camera on a trigger, but I think I've already done it. I just haven't implemented it yet. But I was like, this is working. This is nice. And then I was able to do a save system. So now I have a fancy little JSON file saving system, and it works. And when you go in and you press play, it saves here. Excuse the weird camera thing right now. I might have accidentally hit something and I was messing with it right a minute ago. But on top of making oh yeah, I did. I deleted something on accident or turned it off. Oh well. I'll fix that. Oh, turn off the map bounds. That's why it doesn't work. Duh. I'm so dumb. Anyway, while I before the internet went out, I had worked on the basic cameras that I ended up changing and I'm taking away now. And I also got to work on this little phone system. So the phone is what you're going to do a lot of stuff with. Originally, emergency call was like how you got to Google in the game. I was going to have it to where you could order things online occasionally, but I was like, that is too much work and I don't want to do all of that. But the contacts and the calls will be important because at some point you can kind of see who you've contact with and it just adds story if you want to look at it. But really the messages is where everything's important. And originally the phone was only going to have these things, but I was like, you know what? That's really dumb. No one's going to use the phone. But if I put the save game, the setting, and the quit here too, it'll be better. So now if you save game and you stop and you go back in, it works because before when I loaded in, I was over here. So that's really cool. I have a fancy save system now. It doesn't do much because it just saved my position and the camera and stuff. There's not much to look at, but I have a better save system that I'll be able to add onto way easier than something else. But there was something else that I did. I added a bunch of random colliders, but I haven't actually gotten like the puzzle colliders mostly is what I did. Like all of these over here. So there's the doormat, the flower basket with the key, the flower basket that doesn't have a key, the big window, which when you look inside of it will trigger some dialogue. And you can see up here that I was starting some dialogue and I had actually gotten some dialogue done. And then I realized I'm going to have to change these because the way I'm doing a lot of the stuff in the game is just this is going to be a disaster to do. So I went ahead and halted on the dialogue because I've got a lot of the dialogue written out in places, but I don't have the system implemented. I don't even have much art or anything. And I was like, I don't want to have to do that right now. So yeah, I fixed the camera. I've got a save system after the internet went out. I also changed. Let me turn off the bird noises real quick. I changed the music. Not much. All I did was I slowed it down. I think I took it to like 90 or 80 BPM instead of what it was at, which I think was 120, which was really fast, which isn't bad. But I was like, it was a little fast, it was a little upbeat, and I kind of wanted to slow it down. So I slowed it down, and I like it. So that's what we'll be having, like, you'll have when you are in it. Um, and ignore that you can see this right now. Normally the map bounds are on, so if that doesn't happen, I'll have to turn those back on momentarily. But mostly I wanted to show y'all the messages. So like I said before, the messages are like the most important part of the story that you get without it's the uh the prologue? No. Yes? I don't know. It's a little bit of story that you get before actually having to be in the story, and it just gives you extra story without having to play a lot of the game. And you can kind of pick up on these bits on your own pace. So, like you can see here, Ricky does not text. He's older. He doesn't really know how to do that. And you're very punctual when you're texting him. Then you have Witchy Bitchy Whitney. Originally, this was bitch ass Whitney because my cousin actually has my name in her phone as bitch ass Brianna. Actually, it's bitch ass Bunana, but That was mine, so I made hers in here, and so you can see, like, the texting changes. I say LOL, no P, like, no more grammatical anything, but you can get a little bit more info here of, like, who Whitney is to the player and, like, how she acts with someone else and why you're kind of moving. And then you have an unknown number because, of course, someone randomly is texting you. And this was actually a real spam message I received. I changed this a little bit and just put scam in there, but this was the rest of it was an actual message I had received at one point. And then this is Egg Donor, the main character's mom, and I'm not gonna go through, but you can read all this if you want to. Oh yeah, I did get all of like this working and stuff. Obviously, I did stuff. Man, March was way longer than February, so I kind of feel like I didn't do a lot. But looking at what I did now, I'm like, nah, I'm pretty proud, especially since I couldn't do a lot because the internet was out and nothing worked. So yeah, but anyway, so this is all this. Like, she's bipolar. She's kind of crazy. She is awful. So you can read all of that. It gives you a little bit more. Calls and contacts doesn't do anything yet. Emergency call doesn't do anything, but save game works now. Settings and quick game don't do anything yet. And you can either press the space bar to get rid of the phone or hit the phone up, and that's also how you turn the phone on as your space bar. But yeah, so that's basically what I did. Let me turn on the map bounds again so I don't forget to do that. Um yeah, and you can move between the spaces over here. Like when you go here, it'll teleport you over there. When you go back, it'll pop you back over. With the map bounds, it's actually really cool. For anybody who's like, yeah, that's really simple. Well, for me, it was fun. It was cool. But anyway, yeah, you can add all these like directions, and you just put some things in. I felt really dumb while I was doing this because I was following the tutorial and I done everything right. Mine was almost working, except whenever I started here, I would start the game, I'd start right here. I would walk over, and the camera would not follow me. The camera would still be here, and my player would be over here. Well, then when I walked back over to this area, the camera would then trigger, move over here, but the player was now in the middle section. So I was like, what have I done? So I watched this video like 4 times. I went over the code. I looked at the code, comparing my code to her code. I looked at the code just to see if I did something wrong. I kept double checking everything in my inspector. And I don't know why it took me a week to figure this out. But if you look down here in map transition, it says script and it says map boundary, it says S1. S1 means shed. So I've got front porch 1, uh, living room 1, that's what that is, nature 1, and shed 1. And I originally, I think in the tutorial video, this was the same as this. So it was FP1, like it was the same location and it would change when it needed to. But for whatever reason, I wasn't doing that, or I was just really dumb and missed that thing. But it took me like a week to figure it out because I was checking everything but that. And finally, I was like, let me just see if it'll work if I flip them. It did. It worked immediately, and I felt really, really dumb. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on. Did I do anything else? Did that. Got the phone. Started this again. Uh, do 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 do. Doing this. Um, hmm. I don't know. This was kind of a slower month because I really that storm really messed me up in the middle, but I think it's okay. I still made progress. I'm still getting somewhere. Hopefully, at the end of April. Well, I do have a busy April. I actually go to craft fairs in April, 2 of them that I'll be selling my artwork at. That's besides the point. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I think that's it. I think that's all I have. Like I said, it's kind of slow. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for listening slash watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.